One final video before your boy heads on vacation. Don't worry, we will still have you covered on the Windy City Breeze, whether it's a cell phone video from me or you see the boys popping on the channel for a live, which they will be doing for the Chicago Bears schedule release. I want to get into why the Chicago Bulls, no matter the situation, have four great options moving forward, and talk about a Bleacher Report trade that was thrown out there that might be a little bit interesting. All that and more in today's episode of the Windy City Breeze Sports Talk Daily. Let's go. Now, if you are new to the channel, please hit that like button. Please subscribe to the page. Do talk Chicago sports daily on this channel. Only channel talk Chicago sports. How Chicago talk. So make sure that you stay in tune with us, man. Listen, a lot to get into on today's episode. As you know, listen, as soon as the draft combine happens, Bulls are top four. Everybody instantly comes out and they're like, this is what you got to do. If you don't do this, it's a failure. Oh, it's over if you don't make this happen. And I just don't believe that that's the case. Listen, the Chicago Bulls have a top four pick in a draft that is probably the best draft in a while here for you to have a top four pick in. There are four names that are at the top of this draft that I think everyone has locked in on, and I think all four of them could be great options here for the Chicago Bulls. Now, realistically speaking, we kind of know we're not living in the world of AJ Dybantsa unless there were some kind of trade that were to happen, and I will talk about a trade scenario that has already popped up here that might be a little bit interesting. I saw this from Bleacher Report earlier today, but at the end of the day, right, like you're looking at players who you feel very confident are going to make a difference and going to make an impact on this team. And we got some of the measurables from these guys today via the NBA Draft Combine. And I think when you start to see this along with the workouts and the guys that these young men are being compared to, how can you be upset about any of the names that might be available to you? And maybe you sneak one in there because the Bulls are there. I went with the top four names that have been the consensus top four because we go through this whole process and then we get to the end, and it usually is the top four names that were there at the beginning of this. Unless the Bulls are in the top four, then they try to go off kilter and pick somebody else. But if you want to go outside of that, Darius Acuff is a name you could throw in there as well, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but again, not a bad option if you were to draft at four here. But when you take a look at the four guys who are at the top, I mean, you're talking about Cam Boozer, of course, who comes in probably around where the Bulls are, 3 or 4, 6'8", wingspan 25, 6'8", 0.25 height, I should say, 252.8 pounds, 7'1.5" wingspan, and a standing reach of 9 feet tall. Darryn Peterson measured in at 6'4.5". Weighs around 198.8 pounds. Good weight already. This is a young man who could be NBA ready. I think he's the most talented player in the draft, if we're being honest about it. But, you know, some of the antics and things that we saw during during his college career have definitely changed up how people feel about him. Wingspan 6'9.75" with a standing reach of 8'7". Caleb Wilson, who was the one that I think most Bulls fans feel is kind of projected to be the guy here for the Bulls moving forward. 6'9.25", weighed in at 210.8 pounds. Did I say 6'5", 6'9"? I don't know why I felt like I said 6'5" there. Wingspan around 7 feet tall, standing reach of 9 feet tall. And then, of course, the number one overall pick that we all expect to be the number one overall pick, AJ Dybantsa, the 6'8", 217 pounds, a monster down there, 7 foot wingspan with a standing reach of 8'10". Listen, this is how these young men measure out right now. And I think when you see that, right, you start to say, okay, this is the kind of players that I think if we're taking Bryson Graham at his word for what he says, these are the kind of guys that you want. You see the wingspan, you see the standing reach, you see what they all have been able to do defensively in their college career. Now, Cam Boozer is probably the one that a lot of people are the most iffy on defensively, but a 20-10 player nonetheless. Maybe the defense is something that needs to be developed there. You can't say that he's a bad defensive player. It's just when he went up against some of that tougher competition, right, the defense didn't show through as much. I mean, Caleb Wilson and Cam Boozer, if you're sitting there at 4 right now, and it sounded like per Jake L. Fisher and per Evan Sideri, the Bulls are kind of content standing pat right there and taking whoever is going to come out at that 4 spot. you're feeling great right now. I mean, realistically, you are going to get what feels like a game-changing player. And when you start to look at the numbers that these young men were all able to put up in college, I mean, how can you say that they're not? When you look at Cam Boozer, even he's the one that probably most people look at and they're like, maybe I'd go Darius Acuff there. Maybe I would try to do something different in that position. 22 points per game, 10 rebounds a game on 55% shooting from the field, a forced down low. I just gave you the weight. He's not a light young man. Also 4 assists a game. When you see it on display, the vision is there. Darryn Peterson, you know the talent. I would say that these numbers are probably the most disingenuous of any of the numbers that we have seen from any of these prospects here. To me, 20.2 points per game, 4.2 rebounds per game, 1.6 assists per game, 43% from the field. That 3-point shooting was much better than that, though. Excuse me, like, that's where I look at a guy like Darryn Peterson and I say, okay, well, we saw that on limited time out of him, right? Like, he didn't give you the full game or whatever it was because of the whole creatine thing. Whether that is true or not, the NBA doctors will have to decide that, whether that is the case of what was going on there. The bottom line is, I think he's a phenomenal talent. And if he falls to you at 4, you would be ecstatic to take that kind of player because of the kind of development that I think that you're going to see out of him. And then as you continue through, I mean, Caleb Wilson, he to me is probably one of the more exciting names in this. Now, he's getting a ton of pub, and maybe he's going to rise up the board by the end of this, and the order will change a little bit here. 19.8 points, rebounds per game, 9.4, assists per game, 2.7, shot 57% from the field. Didn't take a ton of 3-pointers, but when you saw him, if you saw him in the draft combine workout video, he looked like he's added that 3-point range to his game. It's just something that he's going to have to get comfortable with. But, you know, the bottom line, we're hearing them talk about him as if, you know, I saw a report on him. The floor is KG, the ceiling is Giannis. What? You're talking about there? That guy could be there with the number 4 overall pick. We're coming away feeling like we are in a great position. And on top of that, you think of the kind of player that Caleb Wilson could be with Josh Giddey on the team already, with Matas Buzelis on the team already. If that young man is running the floor, can you imagine him and Giddey running the fast break and how that might end up working out for you? Like, whether you think Josh Giddey is a star or not, whether you think he is the face of the franchise or not, Josh Giddey is really good at doing one thing and one thing well, and that is getting everyone involved, especially when they're in stride, making players better. That's the kind of player that you want to pair up with a guy like Josh Giddey in my world. And then, of course, the number 1 overall pick. Like, I don't think the Bulls are living in this world here, but AJ Dybantsa at 25.5 points per game, 6.8 rebounds, 3.7 assists, and 51% from the field. A consensus all-around player that you really would love to get your hands on, but it just doesn't seem feasible for where the Bulls are at unless they decided to trade up, unless they decided to give a lot up. And I think that that's a conversation that you can have with the Bulls having 4 and 15. And it really comes down to, do they feel that AJ Dybantsa is the biggest game changer that you can have in this entire situation? But at the end of the day, there's one thing that you can guarantee. The Chicago Bulls are coming out of this draft, unless they go oppo, unless they go crazy, unless we see something absolutely insane. The Chicago Bulls are coming out of this draft with a good franchise type player. And to me, that is the most important thing that I think that you can talk about in this entire process. And so for the Bulls fans who are sitting here going, oh, you got to trade up to get this guy, or you can't miss this guy, or you can't get that, whether it is a Darius Acuff later in the draft, whether it is Cam Boozer at 4, whether it is Caleb Wilson at 4, or the Bulls move up and they try to get someone else there, I think that this is a situation where Bulls fans, as long as the Bulls don't do what they did in the past, and I think that you have to bring this up with Bryson Graham, where the consensus top 4 picks of the Patrick Williams draft, of the Tyrese Thomas draft, of the Marcus Fizer draft, of, I don't know about the Tom Boerwinkle draft. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I knew what the consensus top 4 was then. But the consensus top 4 picks would put you in a situation where you're looking back at a young player and saying, this guy's a guy that we can build around moving forward. Let me know how you guys feel in the comments below. Do you feel like this could be an obvious situation where the Bulls come out of this with a good player? Or are you concerned that maybe one of those top 5 guys isn't the guy. And I know some fans have talked about a Darius Acuff. Are you concerned that Cam Boozer isn't the right fit for this team? Let me know how you guys feel in the comments below. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love. Now, I did want to bring this to the table as well, because I thought that this was, I don't know, bro. Like, there's certain scenarios, and I know that this is going to happen a ton, but there's certain scenarios where you see trades come down the pipeline, or you see trade scenarios, or you see, right? Like, because you have to make this draft interesting, because more than likely, as I said, you're going to get your consensus top 3 as the top 3 guys that are going to end up going in this draft. But there seems to be a world where, in Bleacher Report's mind, the Chicago Bulls could go out and make a trade up in this draft and come away with a very, very talented player in this draft. The scenario here is the Chicago Bulls trade the 4th overall pick to the Memphis Grizzlies. They trade it with Patrick Williams, Isaac Okoro, and Rob Dillingham. So the Bulls are clearing squalor off of their roster. The Bulls end up getting back the number 3 overall pick, which I know Bulls fans are already in on, but they traded to Memphis with for Ja Morant, I should say. Bulls fans, I ask you this. Do you want to see the Chicago Bulls trade for Ja? Is this a scenario that in your mind makes sense? Now, here's what the article says, and you can go look this up for yourself. I'm not going to read the entire thing, but the Chicago Bulls get the deal that gets them back Ja Morant. Memphis Grizzlies slide down 1 spot, but they essentially, for the cost of unloading Ja Morant, and in this particular draft, that could still be a great situation for you. So the Bulls would come away with the number 3 pick. You're in this situation now where you have to pay Ja Morant, who, that's its own conversation that you can bring up. Maybe you flip them, maybe you figure that out. You also still have the 15th overall pick, and you do have a boatload of money to work with. Now, in all of this, right, where does Josh Giddey fit in? I think that there are certain things that you have to ask there. But the talent that Ja Morant is, it is unquestionable. There's no talent on this team that the Chicago Bulls have that is better than Ja Morant right now. There just isn't. And I know that Ja Morant, the biggest question mark around him, if you're going to pay him whatever it is injury. You've seen him be injury prone throughout his career. Ja Morant has been in the NBA since 2019. We've only seen him play 60 games 3 times in his entire career. We have seen him get back for the playoffs a couple of times here, but a lot of the things that go along with that, right? It's not just the injury concerns for me. I mean, I'm sorry, you see 67, 63, 57, 61. Then 2023, 9 games, has some issues in all of that situation, right? 61 in 2022 was a part of that suspension. 2024, some more things pop up. 50 games. 2025, he's dealing with injury again. Is Ja Morant the kind of player that you would be willing to go out there and trade that number 4 overall pick to move up for, but knowing that you have to pay for the future of Ja? You still can get Caleb Wilson in this conversation if that's the player that you want to go after. You still can acquire a player at the 15th overall pick to continue to build your team. You literally lose nothing but Patrick Williams, Isaac Okoro, and Rob Dillingham, all players that I think most Bulls fans would be willing to give up. But is the juice worth the squeeze, especially since we know a lot of the things that Ja has gone through? And this is why, for me, it sounds crazy to say, but I would say I'm probably 55-45 no. Because so many of the issues that Ja Morant has had have been self-inflicted issues. Do we think that all of a sudden he's just going to learn the lesson and figure it all out and everything's going to be kumbaya if he were to come here to the Chicago Bulls? I don't know if I can live in the world where somebody who has continued to put themselves in bad situations, right? Like, nobody told Ja to turn on Instagram Live, play NBA Youngboy, and start toting a pistol, whether it's a lighter or not. You know what the perception around you is. You know the issues that you have. Again, the talent is phenomenal. But are you willing to take a chance on a player where a lot of the issues that he has gone through in his NBA career have been because of Ja Morant? Now, the latest injury that he was dealing with, he had suffered a left elbow ulnar ligament injury, basically tore his UCL. He underwent surgery for that and is expected to make a full recovery in 2025 and 2026. But we have seen Ja deal with a ton of injuries throughout his career. We've seen him with a sprained AC joint. We have seen him deal with hip and pelvic issues. We've seen him deal with muscle issues. We have seen him, in 2023, like I said, he missed 25 games due to suspension, but 2021, 2022, missed a ton of time because of a left knee sprain, right? Like, Ja has had injuries that have followed him through his career, and a lot of it because of his play style, a lot of it because of how Ja Morant has landed after taking contact, going up for those big dunks and things like that. Again, I think the talent is undeniable. He is a phenomenal player. You could convince me that this trade is the right trade, mostly because if you get Ja Morant in the building, you also could be sitting in a spot where we've got two other young players on the team, as well as two players that you're going to acquire in the draft that kind of make it not as difficult of a blow. But Ja Morant just signed in 2022 a 5-year, $197 million deal. He's still up for extension after 2028. He's going to be making $44 million going into next season, and then he would be an unrestricted free agent. Is that something that you think is worth it? Let me know how you guys feel down in the comments below. I'll be down there talking with you guys as well. Is the juice worth the squeeze? And are you, listen, bottom line, Bulls fans, I made this video to say this, the first part of the video, and even this, right? I think even this could be a part of that conversation. Don't let nobody make you feel bad about where this offseason is at. I don't believe that the Ja Morant thing is going to happen at all. I also don't believe that there is a pick that you're going to get in this draft that we're going to go into next season and go, oh, God, we got the worst player of the bunch. I think you're going to go, we got the fourth best player in that draft. But you know what? He's a dang good player. Or you might live in a world with Caleb Wilson. They said floor is KG, ceiling is Giannis. By the way, is Giannis better than KG? We just all in on that? Answer that in the comments below as well. Like, I get it. Like, defensively, I'd probably take Giannis over KG, but all around, is Giannis better than KG? Let me know in the comments below. Hey, appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love. As always, man, I'm going to be on vacay. If any crazy news drops, y'all know I'll try to drop a cell phone vid. But I would take all my stuff, but the reception where we're going seems like it's going to be absolutely garbage. So I don't know how that's going to go for us. So we'll see. But hey, man, as always, it's your boy, Pat the Designer, back at it again. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. See Red Nation. Stand up. Peace.